Hey everyone. So if you've ever looked at your API bill after a long session with a large language model and felt that sting, yeah, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to dive into a brand new data format that's designed to tackle one of the biggest hidden costs in AI development, the tokens.
It's the question on every dev's mind, right? We're feeding more and more data into these incredible models, and every single character, every bracket, every little quote, it all adds up. So the big question is, how do we get the exact same information to our AI, but for way, way less? All right, here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about something I like to call the JSON token tax. Then, we'll meet our solution, a new format called TOON. We're going to crunch the numbers to see if it really holds up, check out how you can start using it today, and finally, figure out exactly when it's the right tool for the job.
Okay, let's start with the problem. We all know JSON. We probably all love JSON. It's basically the language of the web. But here's the thing. When you bring LLMs into the picture, some of its best features, well, they start to look like bugs.
The thing is, even as these massive AI models get cheaper and cheaper to run, the data we're sending them still costs real money. Every single token. And standard JSON, it's just chatty, it's verbose, it's kind of like sending a postcard, but putting it in a giant heavy box with a ton of expensive stamps.
And here's where the problem really hits you, the redundancy. Just imagine a simple list of users. You've got keys like ID, name, role, repeated over and over and over again for every single person on that list. That repetition, plus all the curly braces and quotes you need to make it work, that's what we're calling the token tax. It's all this extra syntax that you're literally paying for.
So if JSON is the problem, what's the fix? Well, this is where TOON comes in. It's a format built from the ground up to solve this exact problem.
TOON stands for Token-Oriented Object Notation, and really, its entire purpose in life is to shuttle structured data over to LLMs as efficiently as humanly possible. It's not trying to kill JSON or replace it everywhere, no. Just in that one crucial and often super expensive step of actually feeding data to an AI.
And this right here, this is the magic. On the left, you see our old friend, the verbose JSON. But on the right, that's the exact same data, but in TOON. Just look at that difference. The keys, ID, name, role, they're declared one time. That's it. And then each user is just a simple, clean, comma-separated line of data. All those extra brackets, all those quotes, all that repetition, poof, gone. This is where all those token savings come from. So how does it pull this off? Well, it's got a few really clever tricks up its sleeve. First, the syntax is super minimal. It just gets rid of all the unnecessary punctuation. It kind of borrows that clean, indentation-based vibe from YAML, which is nice. But the real killer feature is what it does for these tabular arrays. You declare the keys once, and then you just stream the data. It even has these little guardrails, like telling the LLM, hey, there are 2 users coming, which actually helps the model parse everything more reliably. Pretty smart.
Okay, so it looks good on paper. It seems efficient. But does it actually hold up in the real world? Let's dig into the numbers.
And here is the headline, the big takeaway. Across a whole bunch of different benchmark datasets, TOON delivered an average token reduction of nearly 50%, 49.1% to be exact, compared to standard pretty printed JSON. I mean, that's like cutting your data input bill in half, just gone. Let's make this more concrete. Check this out. For a dataset of GitHub repositories, standard JSON clocked in at over 15,000 tokens. Ouch. YAML did a bit better, around 13,000, but TOON, it came in under 9,000 tokens. You don't even need to read the numbers, you can just see how much leaner it is. At scale, those savings are just massive. But, okay, saving tokens is great, but what about accuracy? Does the LLM even understand this new format? Well, when we say accuracy, what we really mean is, can the model correctly pull out the specific info you ask for from the data? And this table, it shows an efficiency score that kind of balances that retrieval accuracy against the token cost. And look who's right at the top. TOON. It's not just the cheapest format, it's the most effective, dollar for dollar, or token for token, I guess. And that really brings us to the key point from all this testing. In these benchmarks, TOON wasn't just 46% smaller than JSON, it actually led to a higher data retrieval accuracy. Think about that. You're getting better, more reliable results for basically half the cost. That is an absolutely incredible trade-off.
All right, so the results are pretty compelling, right? The next logical question is, how hard is this to actually use? Well, the good news is, it's really, really easy.
Yeah, if you're working in the JavaScript or TypeScript world, it's exactly as simple as you'd hope. It's just a single command with npm, pnpm, yarn, whatever you use, and boom, the library is in your project, ready to go.
And using it is just as straightforward. You literally just import the encode function, you pass it your normal JavaScript object, the one you already have, and it spits out that beautiful optimized TOON string. And that string is what you pop right into your LLM prompt. See? It's designed to be this super simple translation layer, not some big disruptive change to your workflow.
Okay, now for what might be the most important part of this whole thing. We know TOON is powerful, but it's not a silver bullet. It's not for everything. So when should you actually use it?
This slide really nails it. TOON absolutely shines when you have uniform, structured data. Think about things like database exports or a big list of products or daily analytics data. Stuff where every single item has the same set of keys. For that kind of work, it's a no-brainer. But if your data is messy, if it's got a lot of weird, deeply nested structures, or if objects have different fields, then yeah, good old JSON is probably still your best and safest bet.
And this quote from the people who made it really sums it all up perfectly. TOON is a specialized tool for a specific job, LLM input. You're still going to use JSON for your APIs, for your databases, for your config files. You just use TOON as that final conversion step right before you send the data to the LLM to save a ton of tokens.
So what TOON really represents is something bigger. It's a shift in how we think. It's a simple tool, sure, but it's one of the first I've seen that's been fundamentally redesigned for the new world we live in, the AI era. And that leaves us with this huge question. As AI becomes a standard part of every developer's toolbox, how many of our other tools, from data formats all the way up to our IDEs, are going to need to be completely reimagined to be AI first? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.